Hey everyone, I want to give a quick tutorial on using the calculator. So if you either miss class time or if you forget how to do something, or if in general you just need help with the calculators we use here, I have some things that we can go through and sort of show you how we do some things on the calculator. So first of all, the calculator that we use at Westfield High School for our algebra courses is the TI-30X2S. It does come in different colors, so if yours is a different color, don't worry, but it should look just like this calculator, okay? So, a couple things that we can do on the calculator. First of all, most of my students aren't aware, but on a scientific calculator, you can enter a fraction, okay? And we're gonna enter a fraction by using this ABC button right here. Okay, so I have some examples typed out on notes. You can access those through the Canvas page. You don't have to have this sheet of paper, but it might be helpful if you want to do some practice on your own. Okay, so if I want to enter the fraction 1 2/3, I'm going to use this ABC button in between every single new piece. So I'll hit 1, then I'll hit the ABC button, 2, ABC 3. And this is telling the calculator 1 2/3. Okay, if it's just a simple fraction like 4/5, same idea, you'll just only hit the ABC button once, so you'll hit 4 ABC 5. Okay, we can also enter negatives with fractions into our calculator. The problem is that your calculator, for it to truly be reduced, your calculator won't read a negative in the denominator of a fraction. So if we have something like 23 over -2, if you just type in 23 ABC -2, oops, let me try again. 23 ABC, I missed the negative. My negative button is stuck on this calculator, -2. Okay, it's going to tell you syntax error, and it's not that you entered something incorrectly from the problem, it's that your calculator doesn't know what to do with a negative in the denominator. So your choices are either that you can bump that negative out of the denominator out in front, or you can just choose to scroll up and change your division, your fraction button to a division button. Okay, and while it will spit it out as a decimal, I'm going to show you some ways you can change them here in a second. Okay, if there are two negatives, you can simply make it positive, or again, you can use your division button and type them both in as negatives. Okay, so if we look at a couple examples here, you might just want to like pick up your calculator and try and type them in and make sure you're getting the same answers. So let's see if we have 3 1/3 plus 7 5/6. Okay, this U is telling us that we have a mixed number. So this is saying that our answer, sorry, that doesn't quite focus. This is telling us that our answer is 11 1/6. Change my lighting here. Okay, so we get an answer of 11 1/6. Okay, so let's keep going. We have 4 2/3 minus 6 1/5. We'll get -1 8/15. Make sure you know on this calculator that the subtraction and the negative are two different buttons. So you have to use this button for subtraction and this one to enter a negative. So 4 1/5, we can do multiplication. Okay, we'll get 3 3/5. Let's make sure we're entering these all correctly. And then on the last one, 15 1/3. Okay, we can also change format of our fractions. Okay, we can do that by using our second button. Your second button is the one in the top corner that's a different color than the other keys. And what it does is it lets you access the stuff that's written in light blue above the actual button. Okay, so if you want to change from an improper fraction to a mixed fraction, you can do that by pressing the second button. So I just still have this answer in there from last time. So I can do second, and then I can hit ABC and hit equals, and now it'll give me it as an improper fraction. Okay, so what it's telling me is 15 1/3, the answer we got on the last problem, is the same thing as 46 over 3. Okay, so if I do 3 2/3, oops, and a half. Okay, I get out 8 1/6. And if I want that in another form, I can hit second, ABC, and I can get out an answer of 49/6. So these are both the same answer, but different ways of writing them. Okay, so then there's 3 problems we can practice. Go ahead and try those. So we get 10 and 2 over 21. And if we write this in our other form, we'll get 212 over 21. Okay, so we can try 6. Try 6. Feel free to try it. 7 has some parentheses happening, so let's make sure our parentheses are above the 8 and the 9. So we can do 6 and 2/3. We'll hit our subtraction button, and then inside parentheses we have the number negative 1 and 1/2. Okay, so again, the parentheses are above the 8 and the 9. I'm typing it just like I see it. So I'll get out 8 and 1/6. Again, I could change that format if I wanted to, and I would get 49/6. Okay. We can also use our calculator to change from an improper fraction to a decimal, or from a mixed fraction to a decimal. Okay, we'll do that by hitting second and then PRB. Okay, so again, if you look in the light blue writing right above here, it says F and then arrows pointing to D. That stands for fraction to decimal. Okay, so if you hit that second and then PRB, right, this is just my answer from the last one, right? It will go both directions. The first time it will take it to a decimal. The second time it will take it back to a fraction. Okay, so if we have something like 2 and 3/5 plus 1 and 1/2, we get 4 and 1/10. Okay, and then if we hit second PRB, we can see that this equals 4.1 as a decimal. Now, you can use all of these keystrokes together. So I could change this back to a fraction. I could do my second ABC to get my different form of a fraction. Okay, any of those options are fine. Okay, so then there's some practice problems for you to try on your own. Again, try and hit that second PRB to make sure you can get out different formats. Okay, something else that we can do in our calculator is we can do square roots and exponents of 2. My students are usually familiar with the exponent of 2, so I'm not going to do a whole lot with that, but we will here in a minute. The square root is right above the exponent of 2. Okay, so again, to get that, you're going to have to press the second button and then the x squared. Okay, so we're hitting second, and then we're hitting this x squared, which is to the left of the 7. Okay, so we're hit second, and then x squared, and then we'll enter the 256. So we'll do the 256, and we'll get 16. Okay, so let's try another one. If we do second, and then we do x squared, and we can do 1156, that will give us 34. We can also do this with fractions. So if I want to do something like second x squared, and then I want to do 9 ABC 25, okay, it'll give me out 3/5. Now we have to be careful because this problem has the entire thing underneath the square root. On number 13, we don't. So we do have to make sure we do some work with parentheses. So we want to take this square root of 36, and then we're going to close off one parenthesis already open for us. It automatically does it on the calculator. Okay, but we need to close off this other set of parentheses so that we can now divide it by our second square root and then close off that parenthesis as well. Okay, so we get out 0.6, which would be fine. We could also change that to a fraction, which would give us 3/5. Okay. Now, the exponent of 2 button, like I said, most of my students are familiar with. It's to the left of the 7. But I think what's more important is with exponents that we realize the button right above it that looks like 2 sides of a triangle is our up caret button. And that's going to allow us to enter any exponent that we want to enter. So if we have something like 3 to the 5th power, we don't have to type in 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, right? We don't need to do that. So in our calculator, what we can do is we can just type in 3, and then type in our up caret button, and then type in 5. Okay, and then I'm hitting equals, and that's what gives me out the 243. Okay, now if you want to use the shortcut when it's just an exponent of 2, that's fine. So we can do 12 and then hit our squared. Okay, but that's not going to work if there's a negative or anything else happening. So if I want 6 to the negative 2, right? I'm going to take 6, and I'll hit up caret. My negative is still stuck to the -2 power. This is a really weird number, so let's see if we can't change this into a fraction. And we'll get 136, which makes way more sense to us. Okay, we're going to try not to round anytime that we don't have to. Okay, we can do this with fractions as well. We see parentheses, so we need to put in the parentheses. I'll do this to the -1/3. Still, I'm entering a fraction, so I'm still using that ABC button right there. Okay, again, weird. Let's see if I can change that format. Nope, so that's one that we're probably just stuck doing some work on. Oops, I think I actually typed this in wrong, so let's try this again. Okay, I need 1 ABC2, but I don't want to take this. I want this whole entire thing. I think I put a wrong number there. There we go. Okay, I typed a 1/3 instead of a -3, so we're good. Okay, then we can also do order of operations. The key with order of operations is once you know all these keystrokes that you just need to enter everything exactly like you see it. Okay, so if we want to do this number 17, we're just going to type it in, and our screen should look exactly like the problem. So 12 divided by 4 plus 3, and then we have a parentheses, 6 squared, minus 2 times 3, and then a closed parenthesis, minus 8 divided by 2 times 2, and it will just spit out an answer for us. Okay, we do have to make sure we account all of these things that we've been talking about, which means this first one's going to be fine, and we can enter in -9. My negative button is stuck. -9, ABC 5. Okay, but on this next one, we're either going to have to remember that 2 negatives make a positive, or we're just going to have to remember that when we get that negative in the denominator, we need to use our division sign instead of our fraction sign. Either of those options will be fine. So same thing here, we have a negative in the denominator, so I'm going to type in 1 divided by -2. 5 to the 3rd power, so 5 up caret 3. We can do it as a decimal. We wouldn't have to round this one. We can see if it will change to a fraction. It's a weird fraction, but we'll get 120 and 13/20. Hey, if you have any questions, feel free to ask your math teacher, but this is just some quick basic rules so you can use your calculator to help you in algebra class. Thanks, guys. Bye.